Howdy, this is Mackenzie Franklin from SideGame LLC here in Colorado Springs, Colorado. And today we have an awesome video where we have a new announcement for a new hero pack for Marvel Champions. And this is going to be the new Storm hero pack. So in this video, we're going to take a look at the news article that was just put out by Fantasy Flight, and we're going to take a look at that. I have not seen it yet. So this is going to be a genuine reaction to this, as well as a discussion of the content that's going to be released for Marvel Champions. The mutant set is coming out so soon, and I'm very excited to talk about all of these new cards. If you have any comments or any questions about anything that we talk about here, let me know down in the comments below, or if you're watching live, feel free to make a shout out there. But without further ado, let's go ahead and start with talking all about the new hero pack for Marvel Champions. So the new hero pack here, let's read from the beginning. Thunderstruck Storm, Marvel Champions. Once worshipped as a goddess for her ability to control the weather, Ororo Munroe left that life behind when she answered Charles Xavier's call for help. Now Ororo uses her powers to defend mutants around the world as one of the mighty X-Men Storm. Now this is my first time doing a video like this, so I'm curious as what sort of format we want to take. This time what I think I'm going to do is I think that I'm just going to go to the actual card reveals and go from it card by card. So with that being said, let's go ahead and do so. The best way to do this is to start taking a look at these specific cards. I believe you just click on the name and then it'll show up here. So we have Ororo Munroe. This is our identity card, our alter ego side, 3 recovery, mutant. Ororo Munroe begins the game with a weather deck. Very cool. So that'll be something in the insert. Excellent. And I feel a storm coming. Setup. Choose a support from the weather deck and put it into play. So already I'm getting some Doctor Strange vibes where you have a separate deck, but it looks like you have a lot more choice here. So let's see if it gives us a little bit more information on Ororo. So it says here that the weather supports are going to be put into play. Each weather has an effect that applies to everybody, friendly and enemy, as well as a special ability that can be triggered. So think something like the cards that are tied to Black Panther. So already very interesting on the Ororo Munroe side. And now we'll flip over onto the next side. Oh, one more thing to mention, hand size 6, hit points 10. And then we flip over to Storm, 1 thwart, 2 attack, 1 defense. So not the best stat line here, kind of bad actually if we're thinking about it, but hopefully that's weather deck is going to be able to support this, maybe giving extra buffs to stats. So weather control, as an action you can swap your weather support and play with a weather support of your choice from the weather deck. Very cool. And resolve the special ability on your weather support and play. This seems amazingly versatile. We haven't seen any of the weathers yet, but hopefully they're really cool. Let's go ahead and go to the next card here. Clear Skies, our first weather support. Permanent. Each character gains Stalwart, special, draw a card. This is fantastic. This means that you can start the game with whatever you want. Start that with the Clear Skies in play if you have something that triggers that special. You also are going to be able to turn straight into hero mode, very similar to someone like Vision, where you can turn into that dense form right away to get that extra card draw at the beginning. This is going to be fantastic for setting up your initial engine. Already very excited for this. Let's go ahead and go to the next card here. And then Stalwart. You can immediately switch to this, just like when you fight Nebula, or if you are Nebula and you trigger that ability that gives you Stalwart. This is wonderful. So you don't need to play any things that are going to get rid of your statuses. You can just switch into this one to remove those. That is fantastic. Interesting, though, it does say all characters, as the card said earlier. So you don't want to put this out when you're planning on putting those confusion or the stun character statuses. This is amazing. I really like the design of this card. Almost double-edged, but genuinely very positive all around. Next one here is Hurricane. Permanent. Each character gains Retaliate 1. Oh, this is insane. I love this. This is so interesting. I'm already thinking of interesting combinations that you could do with something like Spider-Ham if you're paired up with them. Maybe Storm takes her turn, then flips into Hurricane mode, and then sets up the Retaliate so that the villain gets Retaliate. Spider-Ham goes off, gets some extra tune counters. Oh my gosh, this is so interesting. I'm really excited about this. And then Special, remove 2 threat from his scheme. This is so interesting. They're not necessarily pairing the Hurricane with all that extra damage with a special that also does damage. It's almost 2 sides of a different coin. This is very cool. Next up is Thunderstorm. Permanent. Every character gets +1 attack. I imagine something like this was coming. And then special, deal 2 damage to an enemy. This is also very interesting, as it is the exact opposite of what I talked about with the last card, where these are both very much you're going to be putting out big damage when this hits the board. Next one here is Blizzard. I'm getting actually vibes from like Absorbing Man with all the different weather options. I like that you do get to pick all of them, and I also like that they aren't super powerful. That's not true. I think these actually are pretty tank powerful. The fact that they're free to do, the fact that they are immediate, you get that special effect immediately. I'm curious to see what our hero cards look like, to see if Storm is going to have anything that triggers these cards. This is very interesting. This is the exact opposite of the last card as well. Permanent, each character gains -1 attack, and the special, choose a non-elite minion till the end of the round. Treat that minion's text box as if it were blank, except for traits. So it reminds me of the Vision card, the hero, where you play it, it's going to nullify a problem minion in this case. And this sounds extremely helpful, particularly if something has patrol or guard. I think it'll be really helpful to freeze a minion. I like that. Hopefully this becomes a thing where the freeze mechanism becomes something that's recurring with being able to pause this stuff. Next card here is Weather Goddess, our first event for the character. Superpower, hero action, swap your weather support in play with the support of your choice from the weather deck. Resolve the special ability on your weather support in play. Another amazing card. This is going to allow you to shift around. It's a 0 cost incredible, and it feeds into that kit that you already have. And you have so many options with this. You can go back and forth, give yourself that buff on stats on the different attacks with the Thunderstorm, and then immediately switch back into the one where you can retaliate. This seems super powerful. Awesome. Another 0 cost card. Amazing. Next up is Storm's Crown. This is a upgrade for +1 thwart. Powerful. Exhaust Storm's Crown. Generate the printed resource on your weather support. Ooh, you're going to be digging for this one. What a great card. This is going to just give her another reliable stat line. So she's not just going to be focusing on the attack. She now has an extra stat that's actually usable. Wonderful 2 thwart. And then more resource generation. Card that you're going to want to find. Next up is Storm's Cape. 3 cost upgrade. Pretty pricey to get out, but +1 defense. Gains aerial. Hero response after you resolve the special ability on your weather support. Exhaust Storm's Cape. Ready Storm. This card is also pretty dang good. So it's going to give you extra readies, and if you have your other buffs out, you're going to get additional bonuses from that. If you switch into the weather, that increases your stats. It's even more value. I could see this being just another card that you're going to want to try to find very quickly, very similar to something like Ant-Man's helmet. This is very key, particularly if you want that aerial keyword, if you want to benefit from all of the aerial support. Ooh, I'm curious if we're going to see anything that has to do with the aerial tag. I really enjoyed getting all those additional cards in Nova, and so hopefully we'll get some more in this Storm set. Very excited to see what else. We have 21 cards total to look at. Next up is Torrential Rain, 2 cost events. Superpower Thwart, excellent. So we have a target for Deft Focus, and this is going to be a hero action. Thwart, remove 3 thwart from among schemes in play. Very cool. You can split it up, and if Hurricane is in play, resolve its special ability. This is an interesting trend. So you're going to want to pair specific events with specific weather cards. So maybe if you're watching live or just haven't seen this yet, I want to try to make some guesses as to what some of these cards might be tied to. Obviously, I imagine that the Hurricane is going to be something to do with protection. Maybe the Rainstorm is going to have something to do, not Rainstorm, Thunderstorm is going to have something to do with attack. It looks like the Rainstorm here is all about the threat. Very cool. Next up, we have Flash Freeze. Defense. Hero interrupt defense. When the villain attacks you, the villain and each minion engage with you get -3 attack while attacking you this phase. If Blizzard is in play, resolve its special ability. Now, if I remember correctly, that's the one where you get to turn off the abilities of a minion. I don't know if this one's going to be super powerful getting that extra activator, but getting the 3 attack minus on all villains and all engaged minions for the turn, that seems super powerful, particularly for one. It's a defense event. It's a superpower, so you could easily pay for this for free. This seems really powerful. I think this is a great card, but not necessarily sure that you're ever going to actually use that secondary activator. Next up, number 12 out of 21, Blast of Wind, 3 cost event, another superpower. Okay, this is awesome. You're already going to have a lot of cheap ways to play all these cards. This one here is choose a player, deal 3 damage to the villain and each minion engaged that player, resolve the special ability of your weather support. Another generally good card. Reminds me a lot of the just general powerful minion clearing effects that you'll see in things like Thor and things like War Machine. It's very powerful, but also flexible because of that triggering the special ability on your weather cards. The so far Storm reminds me of Black Panther with a lot of choice in how you're triggering your specials and which specials you actually get to trigger without having that upfront cost of the special tag. So I'm very excited so far just of the amount of choices and flexibility with Storm without being super powerful out the gate with her stat line, but being able to build her engine with her right off the bat, being able to summon the card draw ability, being able to play more cards that'll resource production and boost stats. Seems very, very strong so far, which makes sense. This is Storm. She's going to be a powerhouse. And now we get into the aspect cards. Looks like she's going to be coming out with leadership. I'll go and take a look at the article in a second here. But leadership cards here we have, to me, my X-Men, a tactic. Play only if your identity has the X-Men trait. Hero action, search the top 5 cards of your deck for an X-Men ally. Put it into play. If that ally is still in play at the end of the phase, add it to your hand. Wow. I'm trying to get my timing correct. I believe that you get to draw back up to your hand size first, and then this will resolve. So this seems super good, particularly if you're playing a pretty heavy ally deck. Seems really powerful if you're pulling out something like Professor X to get that super amazing ability when it's summoned. You'll get to use the ally as well. You can combo this with other cards that may deal damage or ready to get multiple uses of the same ally. The fact that it goes to your hand, this seems like a leadership staple for X-Men. Oh my gosh, this is so powerful. What a great card. Oh my goodness. Let's see if we get any more cool leadership allies. And we do with Mirage, Miss Moonstar here. 2 thwart, 1 attack, 3 cost ally for leadership with 2 health, psionic and X-Men traits. With the response, after Mirage enters play, choose an enemy whose scheme is less than Mirage's thwart, stun that enemy. I think this is awesome. It's not necessarily just a minion or the villain, so you do have some flexibility there. It pairs well with the card we just saw, giving us another great target for it. And it's a 2 health ally, so maybe not as powerful there. Maybe 1 more health might be useful on this. But overall, thwart is generally better than attack, so I think this is a strong ally to stun that main villain, particularly if they have a low scheme. So I can see this being powerful based on your matchup, based on which villain you're going for. So very powerful card, actually. Next up, we have Pixie, another ally with an after you play Pixie. This one's from your hand, though, so not going to pair well with that last card we saw. After you play Pixie from your hand, add an X-Men ally from your discard pile to your hand. You're just going to cycle Professor X over and over again. Seems like another amazing card for a X-Men leadership deck. This is so powerful. It's got the aerial traits. You can use team building exercise. Well, it already has X-Men, so you're going to have that anyway for team building exercise. You've got the 2 health, 2 cost ally, perfect. You can thwart with it, and you can hold on to it if you want to get that extra attack in. And then you have that recursion from the discard pile. This is wonderful. So you're not going to have to overpay using something like Make the Call, but you'll still get a body for it. This is great. What a good card. And then next up, for number 16 out of 21, we have the leadership skill. 1 cost upgrade. Skill uses 3 leadership counters, max 1 per player. Interrupt. When an ally makes a basic thwart or basic attack action, remove 1 leadership counter from here. That ally gets +1 thwart and +1 attack for that action. Interesting. So this is going to be 1 for 3, but on multiple turns. I don't know if this is going to be something that gets played pretty often, particularly because it has that max 1 per player. So when any ally makes an action, you remove 1. So you could use it multiple times in 1 turn. So I think it could be good. I think it would be a little bit more challenging, though, to make sure that those numbers are going to add up. So while it does offer an interesting card and something unique that we haven't really seen before, I think that this is going to be powerful. Oh, but it is just an interrupt. It's not forced interrupt. So you can bank them in order to use them when you actually need it. So this actually might be really good. I take that back what I said. This is going to be really good for fixing. So if you need maybe 1 damage or 1 thwart here and there, this could be very powerful. So I'm actually going to completely take a 180 on this. I think this is a really good card. 1 cost, very easy to play, can really round out the cost curve of your hand, and it's also going to help you with fixing in general. What a good card. Another great card for leadership. We're seeing a lot of new leadership cards that are unique while being innovative, but they do fit well into the space. This is great. This is the stuff that I'm excited to see from the X-Men set, just new innovative cards. Excellent. Number 17 here, we have Uncanny X-Men, a team support. Play under any player's control, max 1 team card per player. Each of your X-Men allies get +1 hit point. If each of your characters has the X-Men trait, each of your X-Men allies costs 1 fewer resource to play. This is a powerhouse of a card as well. My goodness, you're going to get a lot of those win, enter, play effects happening. You're going to have a lot of uses out of those cards that you've already seen. This is going to give you flexibility, as we saw with those consequential damage, the 2 fur, as opposed to the 1 fur. So that last card we saw, I think it was Pixie, or it looked like Wasp almost. But you're going to be able to get those extra activations in and have a little bit more options with what you're choosing. This is amazing. What a great card. Another incredible card for leadership. My gosh, who would have thought? I'm telling you, leadership is like the Seekers of Marvel Champions. They just have all the ridiculous cards. Number 18, we have a neutral ally, Forge to cost. Excellent. So you can do the double cost neutral wild card, the resource. Easy to play. X-Men, great. You have the tag you want. response after Forge enters play. Search your deck and discard pile for an X-Men or X-Force support and add it to your hand. This is going to be a staple. This is going to be a staple in any deck that requires a specific card to get going. Let's take a look quickly back at our support, or let's go back really quick. This is a support or X-Force supports in general. So let's see really quick if these are supports. Upgrades. So unfortunately, these are not upgrades, the Broken Storm cards. So not going to be able to fish those out. But I imagine she's going to have some support that you're going to be looking for. You can find all of the X-Men specific supports, like whatever their X-Mansion, all that stuff. You can definitely fish those out. So I think this is going to make it so that's like a package that you include in your decks if you are playing X-Men. He's also 2 cost, 2 health ally. Perfect. You're going to get that single activation out of them. You can pair this with those other leadership cards we just saw with when he enters play. This is awesome. Another amazing card that you're going to want to put in pretty much any X-Men or X-Force deck. Then the X-Jet here is a support that you can target with that. Resource, exhaust the X-Jet, generate a wild resource for a player whose identity has the X-Men trait. Another flexible resource card, very similar to Helicarrier, or where you can provide your teammates with the resource if they need it, or you can provide yourself if you do. This is excellent. Now you have a guaranteed target that you can grab with your Forge. Awesome. This seems like another no-brainer card to include in that package. And then we get to the Shadow King. So this is Storm's nemesis character? No, this is the extra encounter character. So let's go down to the bottom now and let's see what else is down here. The Shadow King, possessed by Shadow. Just like with the Wolverine Hero Pack we've announced a few weeks ago, the Storm Hero Pack also includes a brand new modular encounter set. It features the Shadow King, a dangerous psionic entity who can take control of your allies. With the possessed Storm, with the possessed attachment, treat attached ally as a controlled minion with the blank text box. Attached minion scheme is equal to its printed thwart, and it does not take consequential damage. When revealed, attach the ally with the lowest thwart. Without possessed attached, if you cannot, this card gains surge. Seems like a direct counter to the leadership trait, particularly, that this is going to come with. So I think this is a fun pairing. And then it looks like the Shadow King himself says, while a controlled minion is in play, Shadow King cannot take damage. So he's got a bit of a buffer there. When revealed, search the encounter deck and discard pile for a copy of the possessed attachment and reveal it. Excellent. So he's going to fish out those cards. It's going to happen more frequently. So I like the encounter sets like this. It reminds me a lot of Armadillo's encounter set, where if you include it into the game, you're probably going to see it pretty often, more often than not. So Shadow King is going to do the same thing with the possession attachments. When you see Shadow King, he's going to possess somebody. When you reveal the possession, it's going to bring you back. So I like seeing this here. I like seeing it with Armadillo. This idea of making sure that you see this encounter set is something that I really enjoy. So big fan of that. And it looks like that's it. So those are the 21 cards here. Overall, I'm pretty impressed with this set in general. I think the standout cards for me, let's see if I can find here. To me, my X-Men is probably the standout card in the just aspect cards in general. I think that to me, my X-Men is going to make it so that you're just having a lot of crazy powerful turns with all these interplay effects. You're going to feel great when you hit those gigantic allies, and then it'll bounce back to your hand until you feel even better when you play them normally next turn. So you're going to get that interplay effect twice. This seems so powerful to me. This seems like a really fun archetype with abusing all these interplay effects. And then I think in general, the new X-Men that they've introduced here in the leadership class, as well as the neutral class, are very powerful. So you're going to have a lot of great choices for X-Men. It seems that it's filling in all of the spots that your like go-to Avengers might have fit in, because everybody pretty much plays with Squirrel Girl, Wonder Man, and who's the other character? Maria Hill in leadership. They're very cheap to play. They have very beneficial effects when they hit the board, and they are great in general just because of their 2 cost nature with 2 health. So you're going to get that activation out of them. So it seems like this is filling out the leadership boxes for all of these different characters, which I think is wonderful. So far, pretty impressed with Storm. I love the concept here of the entire weather deck. It feels like you have the power of somebody like Doctor Strange with having this separate deck and having so much flexibility and manipulation and control of it. In this case, though, it's not necessarily manipulation. It's you can choose whatever you want, which is insane to me. But then you also have that fun aspect of re-triggering your special abilities with the cards that someone like Black Panther might have. So far, my rating here for Storm, I think she is super interesting. I love the idea of getting these tiny, small combos of wanting to switch the weather in order to power up your special abilities on your cards. And I think that this is going to be a character that will be a lot of fun to play. I think this is definitely a fan favorite character. So seeing that she's the weather is front and center in her hero pack is super exciting to me, and she seems like a great character to play with. But that is the Storm hero pack. I'll leave the chat open just a little bit if you have any other things that you'd like to talk about. Leave any comments open, but very excited to try this out. And I'm curious to hear what you have to think about this style of video. Is this something that you'd be interested in watching in the future if I did this for other Marvel Champions sets? I'm curious to hear what you think. But thank you so much for watching. I'll go ahead and wrap up the stream now. Side Game Strong.